And we are privileged to host Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla. He's a distinguished officer of the Indian Air Force, a decorated test pilot, and India's pioneering astronaut aboard the Axiom 4 mission to the International Space System. As part of the new generation of space pioneers, he carries India's aspirations to the star. With his extensive experience in the armed forces and his selection as an ISRO astronaut, he represents the courage, discipline, and vision that inspires the next generation of Indians. Born in Lucknow and nurtured by the values of perseverance and excellence, Group Captain Shukla is also an alumnus of City Montessori School, one of the proud Arise member schools, and incidentally his son, who goes to Ryan International, is also a member of Arise schools. His journey from the corridors of CMS to the frontiers of space is a remarkable testament to the power of education, values, and dreams. With over 2,000 flight hours across fighter aircraft like the Su-30 MKI and MiG-21 and advanced training at Russia's Yuri Gagarin Cosmonaut Center for India's Gangayaan mission, his career reflects relentless dedication. His recent voyage to space is, of course, a historic milestone, not just for our nation, but for every child who dares to dream beyond the horizon. And today we reflect on the future of education. His presence reminds us that a classroom is not merely a space of instruction, it is the launchpad of destiny. His words have inspired thousands to aim for the moon, quite literally, and his life stands as a testament to the spirits of Viksit Bharat. Ladies and gentlemen, let us rise to welcome a national icon, a mentor to the next generation, and a living embodiment of Indian aspirations, Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla. A standing ovation, ladies and gentlemen, as I invite on stage Mr. Vinesh to kindly do the honors of presenting a green certificate and a shawl to us. Also inviting Mr. Prabhat Jain to kindly come up and do the honors. And Mr. Shishir Jaipuria, so for your knowledge, sir, the green certificate is a FICCI initiative where we plant trees in the name of the dignitaries the certificate is presented to for ecotourism at various places. This time it is at Songmo, Sikkim. Thank you, gentlemen, for doing the honors, and I now invite Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla for the valedictory address.
Check. Can you hear me at the back? Or is this better? This is better, right? Yeah, I thought so. A very good afternoon to all of you. I can understand 2 days. And the true mark of a great speaker is how much audience he loses before he speaks a word. But thank you for staying back. I think it is an absolute privilege for me to stand here and speak to distinguished educators, members of Arise, and the future of India who are sitting here. I stand before you. I've had multiple titles in my life, and very recently I also became a doctor, which I was not expecting when I went for a convocation. But today, when I stand before you, I speak to you as a proud product of our education system. And I will also say I'm enjoying this. I have my teachers, I feel like CMS is chasing me. Wherever I go, they always follow, and there is somebody who's there. But it's a great setting because I get to teach the teachers. I have the mic. And I really enjoy this setting. The theme is very interesting today, technology with tradition. Actually, I feel it is a great vision. It is about marrying efficiency with effectiveness. In the past year, when I traveled abroad for my mission and, globally speaking to a lot of people, there were questions about sense of identity. And it led me to thinking, and I came up with a very good analogy, and I think all of you would understand and appreciate this and follow me along. The sense of identity stems from where you are. So when we are very small, we are kids, and when we start going to school, our home becomes our identity, your parents, your siblings. Then when you change schools, you go to a different school, your previous school where you were studying, that becomes your identity. When you change your city or go to a different city for work, your city becomes your identity. When you leave your country, you travel abroad, as I did last year. I was in US. My country became my identity. I was from India for everybody else. And I was fortunate enough to take that next step as well. When you leave planet Earth, this entire planet becomes your identity. In a sense, you become representatives of humanity. And I think that is such a powerful feeling or an emotion that it gives this feeling of oneness, of belonging to this entire world, and not just some part of it, some country, some city, some locality. So I think the technology with tradition is very apt to describe of what experience I had, and I would try to share some of that with you. I did prepare this speech for a different kind of audience. I would not be speaking all of that. I see most of you are kids. I would tailor this and I would share some of my experiences. And I will try to keep it interesting for you so that you enjoy. Let me start with a personal story. My story also started just like you, in a classroom, sitting on a bench, on a chair, listening to somebody. And not all the time I was really interested in listening to who was talking. There were other motivations, talking to friends, going away and playing. But I would narrate a very, very peculiar episode that happened with me once to highlight the role of what teachers play in our lives. So CMS has a great tradition of a concept called teacher guardian. And this concept is that a teacher would be assigned to 3 or 4 students, and you have to show your teacher guardian your house. And once they know where you live, they can show up at your house unannounced anytime, just to check what you're doing, how you're doing. So this is the broad concept. It once happened, I think it was class 10th. We have several examinations before the actual boards, and we had pre-boards. And we, as a group of friends, we decided that we will not study for pre-boards because they only assess you for the syllabus that they teach you before pre-boards, but we will prepare for the boards and we will prepare just one subject. Anyways, what happened that this strategy didn't work, and I ended up doing extremely poor in my pre-boards. How poor? I failed in all my subjects. That was the day I felt, really bad inside because I was quite good with studies, but it was one of those episodes where all the subjects across the board, I had failed. But then one of my friends said that it is raining and we are planning to play football. So I said, let me finish the game and then I will figure out what to do. So I started playing football in the school field. Once I finished, I rode my bicycle back home and I was thinking, what will I tell my parents? Coming up with stories, we thought of something else, we decided on something else, but something else happened, coming up with all sort of stories. And when I reached my home, I see the bike of my teacher guardian standing outside my house. There are times in life, and I've been flying fighter jets most of my life. There are times, there are situations which are very dangerous in aviation. And in those situations, when you experience them, what happens is time dilation. Everything stops. And I've experienced that in flying a lot of times. When I saw my teacher guardian's bike outside my house, it was one of those moments. I stood outside my house. I did not dare go inside. I just stood there. I froze. Because all the stories that I had been making, they would not work because I was already inside and he would have conveyed what had happened. And I was petrified. But the fact that I want to convey through this story is that it was raining because I was playing in the rain and my teacher decided to take that additional effort to go to my house in that rain, riding on his bike. Why? Because he cared. Frankly, that day I couldn't care less about how much he cared. But today, in the hindsight, I think that it is this passion that is driving this education forward. And I think in a sense, this gathering represents that passion which is all over the country. And I would really like to thank all the educators who are here, as well as the students who are putting in this effort, because what you are doing essentially is going to define where you go and in turn where India goes in future. When I came to know I have to come for this talk, I did some research and the numbers I found just were mind-boggling for me. I'm sure several of you would be aware of this, but just to put this in perspective, and I may be off these numbers because of the various sources, but we have around 250 million kids going to school. To compare, the entire Europe has about 93 million and US 55. Even if you combine them, we are twice. With such a magnitude comes an equally mammoth responsibility. What does it take to manage this kind of a figure, this number, 250 million? What we need is a solid framework backed by streamlined policies. Now, policies, when we write them down on papers, they seem really good. But look at the numbers, like the implementation, that's a challenge. How do we execute those policies? And this is not a standardized situation. We have rural areas, we have underprivileged kids, we have different situations in different parts of the country. One policy cannot address all these conditions. So the policy itself has to be robust enough and flexible enough to adopt all these various conditions. When the engineers are designing a spacecraft, there is a nominal trajectory that the rocket follows, the capsule follows. And during this nominal trajectory, it is expected to undergo certain stress, the forces that are going to act on that capsule. But if something was to go wrong, the capsule will undergo stress which is many more times that of the nominal trajectory. And the engineers design the capsule for the worst case scenarios. I feel the policies that we are going to make for our education system should reflect this same principle. Not just when everything is going right, but how would you deal with the challenges when things are not going right? How do you address the remote areas? How do you address across the India the challenges that we face today? Like you, when I was in school, studies never excited me. Like the previous presentation that we had when sir was mentioning, none of you said classroom as the most exciting place in your school. And I would totally say that. Actually, I said playground when he asked that question. It never really excited me. It was like a ritual. You have to go to the class, you will be taught something, you'll come back, you will read up, prepare, write an exam, and then, everything is done. So much so that before I joined the Indian Air Force, one of the primary motivation was that somebody convinced me that Indian Air Force join kar lo, you don't have to study. Well, let me tell you, not true. Absolutely not. Ever since I have started school in 1988, till today, there has not been a single year wherein I have not appeared for some kind of an exam. I have been studying all my life, and now it doesn't feel challenging. I really enjoy it. What's the difference? What's the change? I think the change is that when I got into the Indian Air Force and I started studying about flying, aerodynamics, combat, and after that, when I was training as an astronaut, reading about orbital mechanics, space flight, technology, all these are technical subjects. They are not simple and easy to understand. But the shift or the change for me was whatever I was studying in the classroom or in my house or in my office, I got to see that. The application of where it goes, how it gets applied to real world. To get to experience that. You read up combat tactics sitting in your classroom and then you go and fly. And when you make this connect, that is when the shift happens. You come back for more. You want to know more. You want to always find out new things and then try out those new things because you get that experiential, the experience of actually doing that physically. So I think this connect is what is missing. At least was missing when I finished my education. It was a long time ago. I hope we are able to bridge this gap and we are able to bring this experience to the classrooms. Imagine you reading up about a technology and then being able to make it by your own hands and see it in operation. I think the shift it will bring to you, you will get into that loop of going back, finding out more, and then coming back and doing those things again and again. And why is it important? Why do we need it? My experience of this past 1 year of I have not been doing space all my life. I got selected as an astronaut in 2020, and then we went to Russia for some time for our training, and we came back. We were working with ISRO, and then now last year I traveled to US for my training, flew to space, and I am back. I have seen the potential of space exploration to generate the excitement, curiosity, all across the board. Age, no bar. Like from kids to adults, everybody gets excited by this. And where are we right now? We as a country, I think we are standing at an inflection point. ISRO has been extremely successful in executing a lot of space missions. We were the country to discover water on moon. The only country to reach Mars in our maiden attempt, our first attempt. And the first country to land on the south pole of the moon, which is challenging and very important for us. With these accomplishments, I think we have proved to the world that we are not only able to dream, but we are also able to deliver. And where are we going from here now? From here, we are going to a future wherein mission Gaganyaan, which is sending a human to space and bringing them back. Bharatiya Antariksh Station is an Indian space station, wherein the research will be conducted. It will be permanently manned in collaboration with the world or not, we don't know as of now, but this project has already been approved. And then eventually landing on the moon. And who is going to do that? All of you sitting here. And for you to be able to do that, we need a shift or a change in the mindset that we have right now. Because what we are asking of you is to go to a location where no one has ever been. To moon, Mars, and beyond. What happens when you get there? No one knows. I don't even know what to teach you or how to tell you what you will see there because I don't know. Nobody knows. So what it needs problem-solving skills. Just the basic set of tools which allows you to deal with everything that you can face. You don't have to know the answers in advance. You just need to know the skill to answer the questions that are posed to you. Well, frankly, you don't need to know the answers in advance because we don't know the questions. We don't know what you will face. And I think that is the shift that is required. I trained really hard last year for this space mission. And by the time we were going for the mission, By the time we were going for the mission, I think I was really okay. All the mics are off. Check, check. Okay. I thought that was my signal to stop talking. By the time our mission was approaching, I felt really confident in my abilities to execute it successfully. But when the space flight started, when the engines ignited, when the rocket liftoff happened, from that moment till the time recovery happened, till the time we splashed down in the Pacific, every preparation, everything just went right out of the window. Because the environment changed. What I had in mind or expectation that I had that it would feel like this, it just was completely different. Especially after reaching the orbit, when you are in microgravity, your body undergoes a lot of changes, which you don't know, which you cannot prepare for in advance. You know, theoretically you know, but when you start experiencing it, it's very different. Your blood from your legs, it comes up in your head becomes bigger, your heart slows down because it doesn't have to work against gravity, your spine elongates because there is no load on your spine, and your back is aching, your head is aching, you're feeling nauseous and all those sort of things. You have to sleep in air, you have to eat water, all these kind of things happen. So whatever you knew, whatever you trained for, it just assumes a different dimension. So if I can ask all of you, even the kids and the educators, we can only provide you so much. We can only provide you limited things in your head. But beyond that, you should have the skill to figure out things on your own. And I think that is the lesson that I took from my space mission, and I would urge our system that we have right now to change in a way wherein give just the basic set of tools, like I said, and then you guys figure it out. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do with it? When I was in space, actually in 1984, when the first astronaut from India, Wing Commander Rakesh Sharma, he traveled. I wasn't even there. I was born in 1985. But he was asked, how does India look from space? And he said, Sare jahan se acha. And this time when I was in space, I said this, and I will quote, that I see a nation that is ambitious, fearless, and confident. And because of all these attributes, it still looks Sare jahan se acha. And by the way, that is actually true, Hindsight, I should have brought the video that I could have shown you, how India looks from space. And it's not just us. Any astronaut who is on the International Space Station, when you look at India, especially at night, there is literally nothing more beautiful. It really does look extremely beautiful. I would not share my experiences now because I think we have planned a small question answer session after this, and I would like to answer your questions. But I would end my talk by saying that I want to see a future wherein research and development is as celebrated in this country as cricket and cinema. Scientists, engineers, researchers, astronauts are as celebrated as Bollywood celebrities or cricket superstars. Because that is the need of the hour. We have to understand what we celebrate today, we are cultivating for tomorrow. So if we are not able to celebrate these things today, we will not have these researchers and scientists for us tomorrow when we want to go where we want to go, and we need what we need. The theme of this conference is balancing tradition with technology, ambition with empathy. In my career of 20 years, I have always operated with machines, initially with the fighter jets and thereafter with spaceships and rockets. And the only lesson that I can tell you, or the biggest lesson that I have learned, and I would like to pass on to all your kids and everybody, is to be more human. I think it is an extremely important trait or extremely important quality. And I was saying this to Vinesh when we were talking before this conference started. I think we as humans are reaching ever greater heights and climbing the ladder really fast. And I think humanity is not able to keep up. And that is the shift that is required. We need to enable these values, go forward fast, but understand what makes you human and always keep it with you. So I would end this and we would move on to the question answer session by saying what I said from orbit, and I truly believe this, and I would like each and every kid to believe this when you leave from here. And this is what I said from the orbit as well. Sky was never the limit. Not for me, not for you, and not for Bharat. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Right. So you're going to be loud as well. And we're sitting school by school, right? Are you working? So we are sitting like sort of schools are sitting together. So if you permit us, we're going to go one school at a time. So we take one question from a school, move to another school. The reason why I'm doing this is because when they go back to their school assemblies and say, I asked this question, the number of students who would get inspired in those schools would be so much more. So
You are asking me, but do I really have an option of saying no?
No.
no. No, it's like when the teacher in the classroom said, you want to study now, right? And the students had to say yes. There was no option. So, right. So which school wants to go first? Who has the question? Students, why don't you come forward? Anybody who's sitting at the back, come forward. Take a seat forward. So we'll start here. So introduce your school and ask a question.
I'm from CCA school. My question to you is that what changes did you observe in your behavior when you came back from the space?
What's your good name, beta?
Kriti.
Kriti. Thank you for your question. What changes in my behavior? You learn a lot, like I said. The first thing is that even though you are prepared, when you reach there, a lot of things change. I went with a crew of 4 people. All of them were extremely accomplished from very established backgrounds and doing very well in wherever they were. And then when you reach space and you are going with a mindset that you will do everything perfect, because you have prepared so well, but you make mistakes and you make silly mistakes which you would never expect to make. So I think humility is something very big which you learn that, becomes a part of your behavior. And the second thing is, just the experience of being in space and looking back at Earth, it is huge. It is very big. I don't think we can imagine. I had seen the pictures, I had seen the videos before going, but it doesn't do justice. So I think the sense of fragility of human life, it is very strong. It cannot be missed. It is very powerful and it is very strong. And so that comes when you go and travel to space. So coming back, like somebody was saying that don't take yourself too seriously, I would say just live, do well, work hard, and enjoy your life. I think that is what the mantra is. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Who goes next? Which school next? Okay.
Good afternoon, sir. Myself, Aditya Kasana. And I would like to ask you that in life, there are certain moments when we face a wall. Right? A wall as in a difficulty we can't overcome easily. For example, tomorrow I have my NDA exam. It could very well decide my future. It is a wall for me, which I have to overcome. And in life, sometimes you face a wall and you feel like you can't overcome it. Okay. So what advice would you give to, and you can share your own experience on a wall that you faced and how you genuinely overcame it and evolved through it.
Thank you. Great
Thank
question. What's your name?
Aditya Kasana.
Aditya. First of all, do you have your NDA exam tomorrow? Yes, sir. All the best. A fantastic question. I think any challenge that you face in life, you have 2 options. Either you can be excited or you can be terrified. And there is a very thin line in between both of them. In either case, you don't know whether it will happen or not happen. But you have the option to be excited about it or be scared of it. So I would say choose the former, be excited about that possibility. You are going to write your NDA exam. You have prepared as much as you could, right? But you don't know. Tomorrow you may have questions, all the questions that you know, and you may score very well. Or it may just so happen you may have questions which you don't know the answer to. That's not in your control. But right now, present moment is in your control, right? And so you should choose to be excited. There are enough walls, there are enough challenges that I have faced in my life, in my career, and it is okay to be scared, to be afraid, to be anxious at times, but don't let that become too heavy on yourself. It is fine. It is a part of the process. It is a part of the process. So keep doing what you're doing, and don't worry about what is going to happen. Don't, like right now, don't think or don't worry what is going to happen to you in the results of your NDA exam. Because if you do, you will not do well in the exam tomorrow. Just go and write your exam with whatever preparation you have. That's it. So my thing is, look at what is in front of you right now, and don't imagine your future. Just focus on what you can do now, and I think everything will take care of itself.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, sir. My name is Ananya Chhabbar, and I am here on behalf of my school, the Gyanshri School. My question to you is that what advice would you like to give to students like me and like us who aspire to work in space research?
Oh, I would say please do. My advice to you would be on similar lines of what Aditya asked. I would say be excited about what's to come. As I said, we are standing at a point in our space journey that is very exciting. When I was a kid, I grew up reading about Wing Commander Rakesh Sharma. His story was fascinating, and he traveled to space, and seeing his videos and his answers from space. But the thought of becoming an astronaut never really occurred to me, because there was no space program with us. We were in a position that it never really, I never thought that I can be an astronaut. But it's not the same today. Like, I traveled this time, but this time we have a plan. We are going forward with this. And so this journey that we have and the ambition that we have to be on moon by 2040, we would need all of you. So possibility is there. It is existing. The only thing stopping you from being there is you. So don't think that there is any limitation or any possibility. Keep working hard, keep putting in your effort, and have your dream in mind, and think, who knows, you may be the one to land on moon.
Right. We see some young lady sitting there in the middle. Ma'am, can we give the mic there?
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Tia Mittal. I am on behalf of St. Mark's School. So I wanted to ask you that you mentioned that once the rocket lifts up, all of the preparation goes out of the window. So what were the challenges you faced mentally during that space station? And how did you overcome that blankness once you reached the space and there was no information available? So how did you overcome it mentally, and what challenges did you learn, which you can also advise to the students?
Yes, it is true. When the ignition, so like I said, I have been flying fighter jets for most of my life. So I was used to the feeling of, a tank of gas igniting on fire behind you. It was familiar for me. So I thought that I knew how it would feel like. But a rocket launch inherently is very different, because it is just the magnitude of scale or the power that it has is very different. There are 9 engines that ignite, and when they ignite, everything starts vibrating or shaking. Even you feel your bones, they are rattling. And the acceleration is it is phenomenal, because you go from almost 0 kilometers per hour to 28,500 kilometers per hour in 8 minutes. And that is the kind of acceleration you achieve. So it is phenomenal. Everything did go out of the window. I was catching up for first 30 seconds, I would say. My role was a mission pilot, and I was supposed to interact with the screens of Crew Dragon in which we were traveling. So imagine the pilot is out of sync with the vehicle for 30 seconds. I had no clue what is happening. But the training kicks back, It is okay to be overwhelmed in the moment, but then you go back to your basics. Again, like I said, You will never be able to focus if you try to focus on 10 different things at the same time. But if you choose one thing that you have to do at that moment, it becomes easy. So that is what I did. Go back to your scan pattern, what you have in front of you, what is next, what is going to happen after that, and started coming back. So that was about the launch. A similar experience happened when I was on orbit. Things change, environment changes, you don't feel good. But your science doesn't stop. You are carrying biological samples which have to be preserved. So the work happens. We used to have 12, 13-hour work days in the initial days when you're not feeling good. And you can also not have medication because the medication makes you feel drowsy. So you will not be able to work. So you have to feel worse and work at the same time. But again, focus on the next step, the next thing that you have in front of you. And I would say discernment in today's age of distraction, that is the principle that we have to have. There is a lot available that can distract you from what you want to do. But choose, focus what you have to do now, what will take you where you want to go. I think that is the mantra, and that is what you should take forward. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there a school that hasn't asked a question yet? Okay. Is there a school that hasn't asked a question yet? You guys are the same school. So we can, do we have time for 5 more questions so we go around the schools once more?
Please do, please do.
Right. So, Vinesh, do you want to decide who asks the next question?
Good evening, sir. Myself Upadriti, and I am representing CCA School Gurugram. So my question for you is, what was the change in perspective, your perspective about the surroundings when you reached the place where you wanted to and where no one else could?
My change in perspective, okay. 2 kind of changes happened in perspective. First happened immediately upon reaching the, actually not immediately, after some time, after reaching the space. And that perspective was essentially the visualization of space as we see. So right now we are sitting in this hall, right? It is a 3D volume, but we are sitting on chairs. We are essentially 2D creatures in a 3D volume. If this same scenario was to be replicated in space, you would have been hanging by the wall or the ceiling. Somebody would have been sitting on the wall, and you would have been all around in this room. So the concept of space from 2D to 3D, that shift happens. That's a shift in perspective, technically, I would say. It's a big shift, actually. For the initial few days in space, if you leave anything in space, like if I was to leave this mic here, it would just stay here. It would not fall, because everything is falling at the same pace. Nothing is falling relatively. But this doesn't click. So I would ask someone, can you hold this? And since they were also traveling for the first time with me, they would also hold it. And, stand like this. And even if you leave it, it is not going to go anywhere. So this learning happens. Your brain has to rewire for some time. And the opposite happens when you come back. So after 20 days in space, when I came back, I remember the first night I was working on my laptop and sitting on the bed, and I closed it and I kept it to the side and I left it. And then I realized this is ISRO's laptop. Fortunately, there was a carpet and everything, so no damage happened. But the brain, it takes time to change. But when it changes, it again has to rewire to coming back. That is the change in perspective in terms of technical perspective change that happens. The second perspective shift which happens is just like what I was mentioning to someone before, what you see from outside space, looking at Earth as a whole. 2 strong concepts emerge. One is Earth as a whole. It doesn't feel divided. It feels this is one planet wherein all of us are staying together. The borders are not visible. It is all the same. Every land mass, mountains will look same, whether it is in South America or whether it is in India. Water will look same, wherever it is. So that feeling is very strong. And the second thing is the sheer scale, the size, and the insignificance of what we are. I think that is very, for me, so it may be different for people, but if you ask me, these were the 2 big things that I've experienced.
Okay, this boy, you've been trying to ask from that last row, right? Aren't you the one? Come, get up.
Yes, sir. Sir, first of all, good evening. I am Dhruvan Shankar from class 8 of Balbhati Public School, Noida. I have a question that you are a role model for all of us here. But for example, after 50 years, what do you want that future scientists and astronauts should remember you as, apart from the spaceship?
Thank you so much for your question. By the way, that is right on the border. 50 years from now is somewhere in 90s. So I don't think like that. I don't work like that. I don't think 50 years into the future. I think in the moment, in the now. I would like you to take inspiration from my journey. I would want you to be inspired and motivated and to get us where we want to go. That is what my ambition right now is.
Okay, there are some questions here.
Good evening, sir. I'm a Mayurapus teacher, and I'm from Vasant Valley School. My question is to you that, are there any specific programs or support that you would have liked in school and do you think that would have changed your career trajectory or you as a person?
Sorry, can you please repeat that?
My question is that, are there any specific programs or support that you would have liked to have had in school and do you think that would have changed your career trajectory or you as a person?
I actually, frankly speaking, I don't know what would have changed my career trajectory or something. It is very easy to speculate of if we would have done this, this would have happened. But in these scenarios, what happens, we only consider what has already happened. We don't consider what has not happened, which is a possibility when you try to go back. But to your other part of the question, I would definitely say, like what I was mentioning, I feel that there is a disconnect between what we study in the classrooms and what its real world application is, where we use it. And I think this connect needs to be made. And if that is made, I think you would be very excited in learning more and more by yourself. You would not have to be pushed to study. So that is what I would like to see as a change in our education system right now. This connect, this experiential learning and exposure to whatever you are studying, how does it actually reflect in our world outside. And I think we should try to make this connect everywhere. Thank you.
Students, I now have a deal that I can offer you. The deal is that I can get you on the stage to get a photograph with a man. But the deal has two sides to it, right? So when you get this photograph with your hero, when you come back, you need to make sure nobody leaves this hall before the vote of thanks is done. Do I have a deal? I have a deal. See, the man who's doing the vote of thanks is a dear friend of mine, and he's looking at me because this wasn't planned. Okay? So can we have our first group sitting here? School by school, we're only doing students. We are student first. We are biased. So we are students. Only the students come up on the stage, one school at a time. So you kids go up. Sir, if you can stay in the center. And to the video, can I get the slide where it has a big photograph of sir? The first slide that we opened with. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.